All right, team. So good to see you guys on here tonight. We are going to talk about something that nobody gets excited about when we bring it up until they realize how much money it can actually save you. So, and that's setting up an LLC. We're going to talk about the business aspect of our business tonight and setting up an LLC, the benefit of setting up an LLC. And I first want to start with I'm not here today as your tax advisor um, or your CPA, but I am here as a business professional who has learned how super important it is to treat your business like a real business. I tell people all the time, we spend, 300, 535 or 1750 to start a business, which is crazy. And we have logistics that is distributing everything out to us. We get a website, we are able to start a business and literally start immediately making money. And you got to treat this like a business. And most people don't. And this is where people in direct sales or network marketing go wrong. They make money, but they leave thousands of dollars every single year on the table because they never set up an LLC that don't and they don't separate their business expenses and they don't understand all the massive, incredible tax write-offs and advantages that are available to them. So let's start with your domain. And there's going to be a document that we're going to send out to you guys. So you guys can take notes, but I'm going to have a document after this that we're going to send out to everybody on this call. We're going to share the links in the chat. And if you want to share it in the chat, Lola, where people can, pull it up and follow along, you can do that as well. It's going to be in Spanish and English, but you guys will have a document. So after this call, you can watch it. You'll have all the resources that I'm going to talk about today to actually set your LLC up tomorrow. Okay. So before we talk LLCs, I want to give you guys a business tip. Okay. And that is the first thing you need to do when you're going to start a business, come up with a name, search and secure your domain as early as possible. Because as your business grows, you want to own your brand, including your website, your URL. If you don't care about that, that's fine. But I'm just going to tell you right now, anytime that I start a business, I want to go out and I want to search if my URL is available so that as the business grows and scales, I'm able to brand myself and have a website. We're creating a website right now with wellnessrev.org that's going to be a hub for all of you guys to have all the resources, all the recordings, all the documents, everything that we record that you could just go to that hub and create. And as you grow your business, you might want to do the same thing, right? Or you just can always use ours. But even if you're not ready to build a website today, locking in your domain protects your future's brand identity. So here's what you need to do. If you guys go to godaddy.com and then you type in what you want your business name or the name that you're thinking of using, and then see what's available. Ideally, something simple, memorable, and matches your business or matches what you want your business to say. If it's available, grab it, even if it's just to park it for now. I mean, a lot of times you can get a URL for $9 a year. It's not that expensive. If your exact name isn't available, just try variations like yournamellc.com, for example, or getyourbusinessname.com or businessnamegroup.com or your business name HQ headquarters.com. Or you can even use .org or .net, right? A lot of times that's available. Maybe it's not .com that's available, but at least you'll have your brand name available on a URL, even if it's .org or .net, but just to have it. The other thing that you might want to do in the future is get your name, right? Go out and get whatever your name is, .com. It might be taken, it might not, but it's always wise to have that in the future in case you grow your business or you grow your brand or you want to become something else. Okay. And that way you can scale your business. And if you need a site, what's going to happen if you don't get it now and you have this great idea, you're going to be stuck paying $300,000 for something that you really want, and you could have bought it for 12. Okay. So that's the first thing that I want you to do. And when you choose your business name, I want you to go out and check your availability in your state. Okay. Again, make it creative, memorable, brandable, and how you check your LLC and name availability state. This is how you check it. Okay. Every state has a free business entity search tool. In this document that Lola sent out to you, I have all 50 states links. You just got to click on the link. You can go out and check if your business is available. You don't have to do any of the work. We have all 50 states, all the links to see if your LLC name exists or if someone else has it. You can also go to Google and you could type in LLC name search your state. So example, LLC, whatever the name is, Florida. And you can see if there's already an entity in Florida or your state. LLC, whatever your name is, availability, Texas. So you look for the result from your Secretary of State or Department of Corporations. It will usually be a .gov site. User search tool, you can see if the name you want is already taken. Now, even if your name is taken, okay, another tip, you can often add words to your business name like solutions, enterprises, global, consulting, group to create that unique name. Now, my attorney doesn't like me to have my name that has one of those things on it because he just said, there could be too much confusion. So, but that example is, let's say you named your company Bold Moves LLC and it's taken. You could try Bold Moves Enterprises LLC or Bold Moves Solutions LLC. But we're going to send you that PDF, that document with all the links of the 50 states. So you won't have to go out there and search anything. You click on that link, go there and search and see if your name is available. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sharing, Lola. I'm not sharing it. I'm just talking about this right now, and then I'll share the document when we're done. Just that way they can pay attention. And then your final step is just reserve the name. You don't have to do this, but some states will let you reserve the name for a very small fee before filing your LLC in case you're not ready to file yet. But what I would advise is everybody on this call, you want to start an LLC because it's going to give you a lot of advantages when it comes to saving money and taxes. And also it's going to give you some safety against people suing you if something ever came up, suing you personally. Okay. So the second thing that you want to do is you want to appoint a registered agent. It can be you or a service, but you must have a physical address in the state that you file in, right? So you can't file in another state. The only state that you could file in and not have a residence there is the state of Delaware. I usually file all my business in Delaware because it is law in all 50 states. So if I ever have an issue and I'm in other states, the state of Delaware, I can have all my proceedings in Delaware if anything were to happen. Okay. The third step that you need to do is file articles of organization. This is what legally forms the LLC. And these filing fees vary by state from $50 to $500 typically. I would say they're probably in the range of $200 to file the articles of organization. Okay. This is all stuff that you can do on your own. And then you need to decide how this LLC is managed. Member managed, you run it. Manager managed, you hire someone. Most are member managed. Okay. It's very, very simple. And then number 5, you're going to create an operating agreement. This is not required everywhere, but recommended. Meaning if it's you and your wife, you have stated in there that you and your wife's business, what your roles are in the business, what your responsibilities, and what the profit sharing is in the business. Very simple, very straightforward. I'm going to share some other resources with you, the other websites that will help you with this process. Okay. And then you want to get an EIN from the IRS. And so we've also put the link in there for you to go out, click on that IRS and apply for your own EIN. So once you get your entity set up, you want to get an EIN. The reason why is because you're going to need that to open up a bank account. And then really, really important, after you set that up, you need to stay compliant. Your state is probably going to require an annual report. And then just check for any local business's license when you go to that website, and it'll tell you if you need to file an annual report every single year. Okay. The next thing that you want to do after you get your EIN number is you're going to want to open up a business bank account. Okay. The bank will not open an account unless you have an EIN, articles of organization, and an LLC set up. They won't even look at you if you go into the bank without that information. And then once your LLC and EIN is set up, also try to open up a business credit card. The reason why I do this is because every single dollar that I spend inside of that entity, I want to put it on that credit card and then I want to pay that credit card from that entity. The reason why is it's easy to keep track of. So every business expense comes out of that can. This is how real entrepreneurs operate, right? There's not enough people in this industry that are operating this way, but I'm telling you, this is the best way because it keeps your books clean. When you guys start making good money, and you get an audit, you just want to make sure that everything is clean and there's no question. So you set that bank account up, have that credit card. I have a credit card for every business that I have, right? Lola has like 8 credit cards of different businesses. And every time we make a charge, it depends on what business it is. And then I get that Amex credit card every single month and I pay it from that entity. And then when I give it to my accountant, he has access to my Amex, he has access to my bank account, and then he can do all the books for me and make sure that everything is very, very clean. Okay. And most importantly, what this does is this unlocks a ton of tax deductions. Okay. So if you want to make this super easy, I'm going to share with you in this document some trusted sites that can help you set this up online. Now, I always have my attorney set it up for me, but you could do it for a lot less. I just like my attorney being involved in everything because it's like a doctor. When you have medical problems, he knows all my businesses, he knows all my issues, he knows all my problems. But if this is your first business, you can go to these websites and you can set these up yourself. It'll cost you anywhere between $250 and $300 to set this up. Okay. And some of the websites that are out there are Zen Business, Northwest RA, LegalZoom. And again, I've included all these in this attachment. I'm going to show you guys this attachment when I finished. Okay. So what I want to talk to you guys about is some of the tax write-offs that you guys might be missing or might not be thinking of. Okay. So let's talk about the fun part. Okay. When you operate like a real business, here's what you can legally write off to lower your taxable income. Okay. If you don't have an LLC, it's really hard to write these things off because you don't have a business to write them off against. Okay. And this is money you were already spending. But now the government says we'll give you a discount if it's for your business. Okay. Again, I'm not giving you advice. I'm not a CPA, but this is how the system works. I would talk to your CPA to make sure whatever you're writing off is good. Okay. But here's a list of the common write-offs for direct sales professionals. Okay. Your cell phone bill, there's a percentage that you use for business. Your internet bill at home, there's a percentage that you can write off for business. Business meals, meals with prospects, clients, or team members. Travel expenses, hotels, flights, Uber, gas for business trips. You go on a trip and you meet with people, you write the trip off. Okay. Mileage, keep track of your mileage with an app like Mile IQ or QuickBooks. And all the mileage that you use, you can write that off every year on your income tax. Your car payment. If your car is used for business, talk to your CPA. Also, anything over 6,000 pounds, you can write off 100% in that year of the purchase price. So you want to talk to your CPA about this, but if you buy a new car, or I think it's a 2-year-old car or newer, you can write this off on your taxes that year. So like you go out and buy a $50,000 car. Let's say you make $50,000, you can write that entire $50,000 off that year and not pay any income tax that year. Huge savings. Your home office space. Portion of your rent and mortgage is based on square footage use. So if your office is, 200 square feet, you get to write that off because you're using that office for business. Might be a good idea to set up one of your bedrooms as an office if it's just empty and you can write that off. Office supplies, computers, printers, papers, pen, anything that you're using to run your business, you can write that off as an expense. Marketing expense. Let's say you run some social media ads, social media boosts. If you get some graphic designs, you have somebody design a website, all of that stuff can be written off. Samples. I buy lots of samples from LifeWave. I get to write off all of those samples every single year. So I spend money on them, but they're a write-off, right? Business training courses or events. If you go to any event, if you pay money to go to an event or to learn something, when you have an LLC, you get to write that off against the business, against personal development. Business coaching. If someone's coaching you, if you're paying a mentor, you get to write that off as a business expense. Apparel with your business branding. Let's say you put your brand on your shirt and you buy those shirts and you're wearing those shirts every day. You get to write those off because they have a brand on it. Software subscriptions, Zoom, Canva, CRM tools, business gifts, all of those things, you can write those things off. Business bank fees, credit cards, annual fees, all of these things you get to write off on your taxes. So here's the big takeaway, you guys. If you're building a direct sales business, then we need to act like a real business owner. Form your LLC, separate your finances, keep your records. It's really important to keep your records. Listen, I went through an audit in 2020. It wasn't fun, but I had really good records and I didn't have to pay any money. It was scary because it's like, are they going to find something? Did I mess up? Did I make a mistake? But my accountant keeps really, really good records. And most importantly, take advantage of every legal tax deduction that you've earned. Why not? I mean, that's the advantage of owning a business. And I want you guys to start thinking like entrepreneurs, not like, oh, I'm in the direct sales business. This is the whole point of this is we have all these write-offs. Listen, we have barely any overhead with employees, but we do have those write-offs that we can take off of our income every single year. It's not about making more money. It's about keeping more of the money that you're already making, right? Why give it away when there's all this tax code that allows us to be able to do this? So I hope that this was super helpful for you guys to launch your LLC or your business as soon as possible. And then also, what I want to do is I want to show you the document that we created just so you can see it if you haven't seen it yet. So let me share that with you guys. And then I'm going to open this up for Q&A. So if you have any questions about this, about an LLC, I'm happy to answer them. Or if you have any other questions about the business, I'm happy to answer those as well. Okay. So I'm going to go to about 10 till 7. So this is the moment. If you guys have questions, don't be shy. Make sure you ask those questions so that I can help you as much as possible. Okay. So I'm going to share this document with you and then I will get to your questions. Give me 1 second. And I don't know if I can make this any bigger, but let me see if I can share what Lola sent me. Hold on a second. Yeah, this is gonna be better. So this is the step-by-step guide, okay? That Lola's gonna send out to all you guys. So you guys don't have to memorize all this stuff. And so this is choose your business name. It's all the resources that you guys need to do. So you can go by this step by step. We just created this step-by-step document for you guys. Secure your domain name, how to do it. She even put the search tab in there, what it's going to look like when you pull up GoDaddy.com. And then appoint a registered agent, the description, file the articles of organization, decide on a management structure, right? And so when you call an attorney or if you call, someone, or if you're going through one of those websites that I said that's on this document, you'll know exactly what you have to do, okay? Decide on a management structure, create an operating agreement. You can do that inside of those sites. Get an EIN from the IRS. She even has the site right here, right? Here's a clickable link that she's going to send you. You just click right there and get your EIN. Super simple. You guys don't have to go out and do any of the work. She's got the stay compliant in here. Open a business account, okay? What they need for that business account. And then these are the write-offs, just to remind you every year, so you have those resources of what you can actually write off. And then this is the LLC setup websites, right? You click on these links, it's going to take you right to those sites that set up your LLC. And then the website to get your EIN, click on that link. And then these are all the links for all 50 states that you could just go in there and click on the link, and it's going to take you out to their state to see if that name is available. Okay. So that's that. Again, hope this was helpful. And then I see you, Nancy and Estella have questions. And then if there's any questions in the chat in Spanish, Lola, just please let me know.
Hi, Jay. You're so thoughtful. Thank you for sharing that with everyone. Jay, I have had my company since 2016, and since I render speech therapy, and this is photo therapy, I thought that I would use basically my same corporation with LiveWave. I basically added my tax ID and all the payments, everything is coming through my same business bank account and everything. I was thinking, what are the main benefits of either separating one income, like one business from another, or creating an LLC because what I have is a corporation. It's an is an Inc. It's not an LLC. What do you know about it?
Well, one, I mean, it's a lot. You pay a lot more money for an Inc. It's not really necessary for an Inc. You can set up every business in an LLC. It's a lot easier to manage. It's also you don't want to have multiple businesses under the same LLC because if something happens with um your speech therapy business, then it affects the LifeWave business, and then people can get the money from LifeWave too because it's all one entity. They're going to show income all coming into the speech therapy
Mhm,
business. From a liability standpoint, you never, ever, ever want to have two businesses. From a tax
mhm,
point standpoint, you don't either. Because let's just say, for example, your speech therapy business does 300,000 and your Lifeway business does 300,000. Now you're in these entities are in a different tax bracket. So you want
mhm.
to just have them separated. Also, it's just a lot cleaner to keep things separate. Um, you don't
Okay.
want to, yeah, like I'll tell you how separate my stuff is. Every piece of real estate I have, each one of them has its own LLC.
Mhm.
I don't have, three or four businesses in the same LLC. I have a different LLC for every single commercial or personal residence that I have. So I never mix them because if you get sued, then the other businesses can be affected by it. So you should always have separate LLCs for every entity and get paid to those entities so they're never mixed or commingled. Because if you get audited, and you have an expense for LifeWave and you're writing it off in this business over, it's too confusing. So the money that it's going to cost you to set up an LLC, it's going to be way, way better for you.
Right. Right. Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome. Go ahead, Estella.
Hi. Yeah, well, yeah, I had a question. How do you or what do you recommend? And if the company allow, if I promote the life Lifeway in a big event, like taking part of a festival or
I
that kind
think
of thing.
Estella, I think wherever you could promote, promote. I mean, whatever event you want to go to. I mean, if you want to set up a table and talk about it, like where people are coming in and having a conversation, I mean, open game, like I mean, I know people that go to gyms on the weekend and set up a booth in the gym. I know people that go to chiropractors' offices. I know people that go to big events and set up as a vendor and wellness at wellness fairs, I mean, so wherever you can, I
Okay.
mean, the only point behind any of that is just to get into a conversation with people. That's really the
Right.
only point of that. So wherever you can be and get into conversations with people, I would say do that as much as possible.
Okay, so there is no, okay, I was just wondering if there's any requirement from the company.
No, I mean the
In
only
case
requirement is just to be compliant on what you say and what you do. Like it doesn't matter if you're one-on-one conversation, but just there's branding stuff that you can get online and if you want to set up a booth and print stuff off, as long as it's company compliant and you're not saying anything that's untrue, you could do whatever you want.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, Maydell,
¿Aló? ¿Ahí sí? ¿Me
you
escucha?
and listen, you
Hi, can
guys,
you
I
hear
want
me?
you I want you to know you guys can speak Spanish. And I understand what you're saying. So don't feel like you can't ask questions because I don't speak Spanish. I just want you to know, ask in Spanish and she will translate for me. Go ahead, Vidal.
Muchas gracias.
Oh,
Quiero
thank you so
agradecerte por
much.
tu
I want
información
to
siempre súper
thank you
práctica y
because your
accesible
information
que
is
nos ayuda a
super
todos.
practical and
Jay,
it's amazing. It helps us all. Now,
me
Jay,
está pasando que
I
encargo
something that is
una
happening to
corporación
me
que
is that
formó mi
I
marido,
have a
¿verdad?
corporation that I share with my
Porque ya me
husband,
habían
okay?
advertido que cuando uno
Because they
empieza a
had
hacer
already warned me
negocios,
that when you
empieza
start
su marca
working the
personal,
business, you
bueno,
do it in a
si
personal
quieres crecer
level.
en grande,
Well,
hay que
if you
pensar
want
en
to
grande y
grow
empezar
big,
desde
you have to
grande. Entonces
think
dijimos, bueno,
big
vamos con la
and start big.
corporación,
So we
pero
said, okay,
resulta que ya
let's
llevo
create
más
a
de
corporation.
dos
But
meses
now
en
it's
que
been
subí
over
la
2 months
W9 y toda la
since I
información de la
uploaded my
corporación y
W-9 and
llamo
all the
cada 5 días
information
por
for the
medio a la
corporation, and I
compañía
call
para
every
ver
second day
qué pasa y me dicen que
to
no,
see
que
what's
está todo
going
bien,
on,
que
and
no hay
they
ninguna
say that everything is
dificultad,
fine, that there's
que
no issue.
está
that they don't understand why it's stuck, the fact that I can advance and pay out. So hearing you now, I was thinking that maybe it could even be faster with an LLC on our name and to change the documents in Life Wave, because from what I'm hearing, I think that would be the easiest option to separate my husband's work that he was doing before I started this business.
Yeah.
Do you recommend for me to change from this corporation? Well, actually, I think you did answer me already with what you said, that you do recommend separating it, right?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I would not keep two different entities together if they're doing different business. I wouldn't, and I also, talk to your CPA, but corporations are expensive. There's not really a need for a corporation unless, there's some kind of tax benefit or stocks or anything. I mean, LLCs are very, very simple and they protect you and they're very inexpensive year to year. They don't cost you a lot of money, where S corps and Incs and C corps and they just cost too much money to maintain, and there's not really any
Sí,
benefit there that exists with them.
ok, perfecto. Muchísimas gracias,
Okay,
Jay.
perfect.
Muy
Thanks
You're
so
amable.
much,
welcome.
Jay. You were very kind.
My pleasure. If you live most of the year out of the US, can I use it for expenses worldwide? If you're filing a US tax return and it's an expense to the business, yes. The question is, if you live most of the year out of the US, can I use it for, if you're making income in the US and you're generating income from this business or you're having business meetings, then yes. But again, I am not a CPA. So just make sure you talk to your CPA to make sure you clarify that question. Okay. Because I'm not a CPA. I do know about setting up businesses. I know a lot of answers, but I live in 3 different states. It's different state to state. So it's always good to check with your local, state tax and federal tax and what the laws are and what your CPAs suggest that you do. So by no means am I the authority in the tax space. Um, Anything else, Lola?
Yes, there's a few questions. Some people are asking if it could only be an LLC or it could be another kind of business.
You mean a different type of entity or a different type of business? Different
Yes, sorry,
entity?
entity.
Yeah, I mean, it could be whatever entity you want. Again, I would talk to your CPA and, if you're confused about it, I would hire an attorney and just see what your specific situation is. All the businesses that I've ever had for the last 25 years have all been LLCs. They're very, very easy to manage. You can add partners. They're very easy to dissolve if you ever want to dissolve the business. They're very inexpensive to set up and to maintain. So you can set up whatever entity you want, but a lot of them, like, if you're in a S corp, you got to take a salary every year out of the S corp. You got to take, a certain amount of money out of the S corp, and then you're paying more taxes. There's more fees. LLC is not set up that way. LLC, they do your tax return, and then it rolls down to your individual, and whatever profit you have in the LLC, you're paying income tax on whatever the profit it rolls down to your net income. Go ahead, Lola.
I have another type of, and if I have another type of entity, should I change it? Would that be convenient?
Again, if you have an entity, it was probably set up by an attorney. If it's outside, LLC is very easy to set up. So what I would do is I would ask your attorney or your accountant what is the best situation for you. I'm just giving you what I do and what I think is the best situation. It's very easy to set up an LLC. You just might want to ask them, if you're going to dissolve the other entity, what's the best time to do it? Is at the end of the year. Typically, if you're going to make a change, at the end of the year is a good time. Or what would be, the down of doing it now, or should I wait to the end of the year? Again, I'm not a an accounting attorney or a CPA. I just know that I've been doing this for a long time. I want to give you guys all the resources to set up a business. And more importantly, I just want to tell you guys it's really, really important for you to have an entity set up and not being paid personally, because it's going to give you those tax advantages and those write-offs and that protection from your personal and somebody suing you personally. If for some reason, you're in a car with a brand partner and you get in an accident, they're going to not sue you personally. They're going to sue your business because you guys were doing business together. So there's a lot of advantages. So I would just talk to them and see, say, listen, my business partner told me that I might want to think about setting up an LLC. It's a better entity, and just see what they say. Now, attorneys make more money setting up other entities. So understand attorneys are in business to make money and they get paid by the hour. So just ask questions like, why is this more advantageous for me? Why can't I just run this in an LLC? But more importantly, I want you guys to understand is do not mix business. Do not mix businesses. Don't have income coming in from this entity and from that entity and that entity. That will be a disaster if you ever do get sued. Eduardo, good to see you.
Hey Jay, how you doing?
I'm excellent.
Thanks. Hey, I got a question for you. Me and my wife, we went to our CPA. I'm gonna say probably like 3, 4 weeks ago, trying to set up our business. We're in California, so I don't know the rules. Again, I'm not expert in any means on finance either, but my CPA told me that I don't know. Here in California, I'm gonna say California because I'm here. I have 3 years that I can be not using the LLC. I'm still able to deduct all my expenses as a business as long as I don't make more than $40,000. If I make more than $40,000, she said immediately we just give me everything. We start processing the LLC. But if I put an LLC right now for you, it's gonna just bring you a lot of bunch more expenses on the reporting and the whole accountability stuff. So she recommend me to follow the same path, make a special, like you mentioned, a special bank account, keep it like a business, but not open the LLC unless I make more than $40,000. That way I can have, and she says still can do my deductibles that way. 3 years.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you can, Eduardo. I would just tell you, this is my professional opinion. Okay.
Mhm.
I've always, I mean, they're not that expensive. I mean, you're going to pay some annual fees, $150, $200. You're going to set it, like I said, $250, $300 to set it up. You don't need any detailed articles of organization, unless there's a bunch of owners involved. And, like my wife and I are 50-50 and everything. It's very simple. We both have equal voting rights. It's very, very simple and straightforward. So they're not expensive. I would just say, like, from a liability standpoint, when you're writing off things, and you cannot set up a business bank account without a business. So you can set up a bank account, but it's still going to be a personal bank account. So if the IRS ever wants to audit you and you're writing off expenses, I would rather be safe than sorry. And it looks very good to the IRS. Like I'm writing this stuff off. I have a legitimate business because, the way the IRS works, these guys make $35,000, $40,000 a year. They have all this power and they can do whatever they want in the middle of an audit, And so I would rather just, when I got audited, my accountant had all my businesses up on a TV screen. He had everything super filed. He went through everything that I do for a living, all the speaking events. I'm an author, blah, 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 blah. Because the reason I got audited because I was my main code was I was an insurance agent and I had $80,000 of travel expenses. Well, that was a red
Mhm.
flag to the IRS because they're like, insurance agents don't have
Yeah, yeah.
$80,000 of travel expenses.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
he had to explain the story of why, I had all these travel expenses and all the other things that I did. So
I
again,
see.
this is just my advice, to have a business entity. Also, if anybody ever sues you for anything, let's just say somebody sues you because you made a statement that this is going to cure cancer. They can't sue you personally. They're going to sue your business, and your business only has so much money in it. They're not going to put a lien on your house or all the crazy things that can happen in the US with lawsuits. So that's the
I
main
see.
reason the LLCs are set up, is so that they can't come after you personally, as well as, if you ever do get audited by the IRS, I mean, I think, Rhoda, you and your wife are going to be making more than $40,000 a year very, very soon in this business. So, I would say there's, no reason to wait for, to set it up. But that's my personal opinion. Whatever you're comfortable with, your professional recommended to you, I would do it. I don't think it would hurt getting a second opinion, from someone and just saying, hey, these are
Sure.
all the things that somebody told me. Should I spend the 400, $500 to get this set up and just be a legitimate business, so that when it takes off or if something happens. But again, what I wanted to provide for you guys tonight is just all the information that I have and knowledge that I have and why I do what I do and why I set up an LLC in a business. My philosophy is always, I want to think a lot bigger. If you guys have not read The Magic of Thinking Big, if you want to put that book in the chat, Lola, the book is called The Magic of Thinking Big. The bigger you think, the bigger things happen. So again, that's why I set it up as a business. And then, back to the question about, sometimes when it comes to this verification process, if you guys need something, let me know, and I can reach out to compliance. But when it comes to the all the legal stuff, they are a little slow because they want to verify everything and make sure everything is legit. So that because they also have a huge regulatory body, the FTC and the IRS on top of them, so they want to make sure everything is legit. Any other questions, Lola?
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead. Anything else, Lola?
No, I just want to say thank you.
No, absolutely, man. I appreciate you asking the question.
Solo hay tres personas más con la
There's
mano
3
levantada.
more people with a raised hand,
En el chat.
but no
I
more
think I've
questions in
answered
the
the
chat.
questions, though. I answered Estella already, and I answered Maydell.
Estela dijo que tenía otra pregunta.
Estella said she had another question.
Okay. Go ahead, Estella. You're not on mute, Estella.
Unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can a person open a business, lightweight business, on a child's name? Those are for business or taxes purposes. Build the business, and when it's big, can be transferred to the parent's name. I just want to know what's the company policy regarding to that.
So you're saying open a business in the child's name and then transfer it to your name?
I mean, or open Lifeway on a child's name.
I think you have to be at least 21 to open up a business.
Yeah. Or 21.
I think
no.
maybe it's 18. I'm not sure, Estella. The best thing to do is to call a home office, the customer service number, and ask for compliance. And just to make sure,
Okay.
because I do not know the question to that answer about switching names. And I mean, I just don't know. I don't know why. What would be the reason that you would do that, Estella?
Well, I have a prospect and he's interested to do the business, but he didn't want it to mix the business that I already have with a new one. And I just want to know if I can suggest that.
I don't know if you could transfer it to someone else's name. I don't know the answer to that question because it would seem, maybe you can, but I never want to give you guys an answer that I don't know the exact answer to. I've just never had that question before. So I think the best thing to do is if you call customer service and ask for compliance, just be specific with them and then they could answer.
So it's basically thinking like if I build a business with Lifeway, when I get it big, can I sell it to someone? In that way, if this person do it, can through the company do the process like if he's buying it from the business that her child
Yeah,
has.
I believe you could sell your business, but the company has to approve the buyer.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you can sell your organization, but the company has to approve the buyer.
Okay.
But
so
that's
do
all
you
companies.
Right. I was just thinking how to. Is that where it was some option for this person? Okay.
Yeah,
That's fine.
a lot of times what people do is they'll put it in their spouse's name but if they're, I guess it would have to be an of age child. But I mean, maybe they can transfer it. I just don't know, Estelle. I think it would be really good for you to call and find that out and just ask that specific question to them and what you're trying to do and see what they say.
Okay,
I think
thank you.
I think it's a great question.
Thank you.
And who else did you say? Maydell still? Oh, Sharo.
Sharo, ¿tenías una pregunta, Sharo?
Sharo, did you have a question, Sharo?
Yeah, she does. She raised her hand. It's just her background. I can't see it. Go ahead, Sharo.
Hola, hola, ¿qué tal?
Hi, how are you?
De las 10 cosas que tenemos aquí en la
From the
lista, me
10
falta
things that we
solamente la
have here in the
última, que es
list,
escoger la
I
tarjeta de
just
crédito
have
que
I
más
just need the
beneficios me
last one,
traje para el
which
negocio.
is
Y
choosing
esa
the
es tu
credit
forma
card that gives me
única.
more benefits for the
He
business. But my
escuchado
question
que no
is,
es
I've
beneficioso que
heard that
tengamos la
it's not
dirección
beneficial
residencial con
to have the
numeración en la
residential
LLC,
address as the
que
LLC
busquemos una
address,
dirección
that we
aparte,
should
por
search for a
ejemplo,
different
¿verdad? ¿Y alguna otra
address
cosa? ¿Qué me
or
dices?
something else. What do you think
En
about
relación
that? Do
a
you
eso.
know what the reason is, Jay?
Well, so I have my personal address as my business address because that's where I work. That's where it's on my tax return. That's the space I'm writing off. So I used to have offices all over the place, and then I sold a lot of my businesses, and then I built an office in my backyard so that I don't have to travel and go places. So my address is my house. I mean, I the thing is maybe it's because they don't want people to come after you personally or whatever, but they can't when you have an LLC because you have a protection between you and your personal. So it doesn't really matter when you set up that LLC because you set that barrier for you if they're going to sue the business or sue you for something to do with the business. Now, people can always sue you personally. And being an insurance agent, what I would recommend everybody on this call to make sure that they have is what's called a personal umbrella policy, right? I have a $5 million personal umbrella policy, and that's when people sue you personally. If you get in an accident, they work on your house, they fall off your roof, any of those things that can happen, you should have an umbrella policy as well that would protect you personally. It's a very cheap policy for an insurance company to cover you up to $5 million. But the LLC is like an umbrella policy that protects you from them coming after you personally. So I would say to answer your question, Charo, I don't think it really matters. I mean, I would like to understand the reason why behind it, but everything comes to my house now because I don't have an office location. My office location is here. So I don't do a PO box. That's a pain. I gotta go pick it up. I gotta, I don't want to have that. I want convenience in my life. Go ahead, Yanetsi.
Following up on that same question, since I have a practice and I have an office lease, and I create a new LLC for the LifeWave business, can I can I still use that lease address for that
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can.
uh
Yep, absolutely. So I had an office manager in one of my locations in North Carolina, and literally everything I had throughout the country, everything went to her. So
Jay, no se oye nada.
Jay, we can't hear anything.
oh, my microphone cut off. Sorry. I was saying that you just have to have the entity in the state when you file it. So if you're filing in that state, except for Delaware. Delaware is the exception. So you could set up an entity in Delaware and you can have the entity in any other state, especially if you're going to go in multiple states. But Delaware just has the fairest law in the country. And so it's just a place that my attorney recommended I set up all my entities. So all my entities are set up in Delaware. Delaware's a little bit more expensive. The annual fees are a little bit more expensive. But if anything ever happens, everything is in one state for me. And that's why I file in Delaware. But you can have the address, the mailing address. You can have a business in Florida and you have your ops manager in North Carolina and you send everything in North Carolina. Doesn't matter where your mailing address is.
okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome. All right, guys, I'm going to get ready for the next call at 7, which is our information call. I will see you guys over there in 10 minutes. Thank you guys so much. Again, I hope this was really, really helpful for you guys. I know it's a lot of information. That's why we put the document together for you so that you guys can see everything and it'd be very, very easy for you guys to set up. So have a wonderful, wonderful night, and we'll see you very, very soon.